Welcome to Secrets to Alignment with Savannah Schaefer. I am here to equip you with the belief and energy to make your dreams a reality. Take this time to fill your cup and align with the most vibrant version of you. Welcome back to the Secrets to Alignment podcast with your host, Savannah Schaefer. I am so happy to be here. If you haven't noticed already, that audio sounds a little different today because unfortunately the cord to my mic has broken and it has been so challenging these last few weeks. But I will say, if you're watching the YouTube version of this, you can see that we are back in my cozy little corner that I film all of my podcasts in, and I'm so happy to be here. But I also loved the vibes downstairs. The vibes downstairs were a vibe, so cute. But I'm happy to be here. We have our AC fixed. Things are moving in the right direction. I am feeling really good, very inspired. And today I was sitting here thinking about exactly what I want to gift to you guys today, what I want to share, what I want to pour into you. And the thing that came to mind was around stress. There are stressful situations that we're in, whether that's at work, at home, and social media definitely doesn't add to that at all. If anything, it just adds more stress on. So today I wanted to give you guys 6 tips to reduce your stress and increase your happiness, because in my world, that's all that we're trying to do. We're trying to become happier human beings. We're trying to let go of more stress and just become the lightest, brightest version of ourselves. So let's go ahead and get into it. So stress is something that I try to avoid as best as I can. There are so many things that I include throughout my day just to reduce stress, because for me personally, I grew up in a household where there was a lot of stress. My parents were constantly stressed. They were battling stress 24/7. And even in my household with Ty, with the job that he has, he's a fireman, a paramedic, and an engineer. So he's the one driving the big trucks, but he's also the one that you are calling for when you are in a health emergency. So his job is very high stress. And I really do everything that we can in this household to just make sure that we're relieving that stress as frequently as we can. I've noticed the effects that stress actually has on us, especially long term. Not only is it going to affect you in the moment that you're experiencing it, where it's limiting your creativity, it's making you more reactive, you're maybe a little bit more emotional. It decreases your focus, your memory, your attention to detail. It truly inhibits so many things just in the moment that you're experiencing it. But long term, it leads to more anxiety, more depression. It can even limit the way that your brain is meant to expand. So our brains naturally have this thing called neuroplasticity, and neuroplasticity is something that continues to slow down as you get older. But before you turn 25, you have the most amount of neuroplasticity that you are supposed to have throughout your entire lifetime. So if stress is also playing a role in our life, and it's a really big factor for us, and it's changing a lot about the way that we live our lives, it's also going to change your brain's ability to be able to adapt and change, which is limiting your neuroplasticity. That's not allowing you to take in more information, to learn a lot. It really truly affects so many different things. And when people are trying to quote unquote change their whole life when they're 27 or when they're 30, it may be a little bit more challenging because that neuroplasticity is usually not as unlimited in that point of time. So noticing these big effects that stress has on us, I really want us to just know exactly what we can be doing on a daily basis to release those things. So I'm going to dive into those 6 tips in just a second. Number 1, I think that we all know exactly what this is going to be. I'll give you a second to guess. Yes, you guessed it, movement. Movement is so important. And I know that we're constantly hearing this, but what I notice is that some people just don't take this as seriously as they need to. And movement is truly going to help just balance things out more than you can even imagine. It's such an incredible reset for the body. So I personally prioritize this by weightlifting and yoga. So I do weightlifting at least 4 times a week, and then I do yoga at least 3 to 4 times a week as well. Even on the days that I'm lifting at the end of the night, I'll still do some yoga. I've really tried to incorporate this practice into my life a lot more, yoga specifically, because it truly does wonders for our stress. And through the research that I've done, I've noticed that it can even support your stress levels and PTSD, anxiety, depression, even more than talk therapy can do. So just thinking of that kind of impact that it can have, if you're able to just prioritize a little bit more yoga in your life, I promise it's gonna make a huge difference. My personal favorite way to do yoga is yin yoga. I like yin yoga a lot because it's actually a lot slower yoga. So it's not you constantly moving in and out of different positions. It's actually just like 10 to 15 different positions, but you're doing it for a minute or 2 minutes each. So it's actually a really deep stress. I think that this is the best yoga personally if you are doing weightlifting and if you are like putting a lot of strain on your muscles. Plus also, I think that as somebody who works from home, I really need that time to stretch out my body because a lot of my day I'm just sitting in the same spot or I'm sitting in the same position for hours on end. So I definitely would recommend yin yoga over all different kinds of yoga. That's personally my favorite. There's plenty of things out there that will support you, but I absolutely love prioritizing this and it's really supporting my body and my mind so much. Number 2 is reflecting. Reflecting is so important. I utilize reflection through journaling. Journaling is my favorite way to reflect, to check in, to actually fully write out what is stressing me out. I think that we do not prioritize journaling enough when that is one of the most helpful tools that we could ever have in our lives. And I've had many people reach out to me recently. I had one of my girls who listens to this podcast, her name is Danny. She messaged me and she said that she's been journaling more than she ever has in her life. She's been doing it more consistently and she feels like a weight is literally lifted off of her shoulders. And this is the exact reason why I am so intentional about this, because what's happening in our brain when we are in a stressful situation a lot of times, or just like you just have stress in your life, maybe like you're dealing with stress at work or at home, either or, if you have stress in your life, a lot of times those thoughts that are around that stressor can just race so quickly where you're just like, oh my gosh, and then they did this and then that happened and now this is bothering me and this is so annoying and blah blah blah, and we start rattling off all these things and then our brain just like can't even keep up with all the things that we are saying internally. So that's why I really like to take the time to just actually write out like, what am I stressed about? What am I hoping will come from this situation? And I take a moment to really dissect my thoughts there, because that reflection is going to support you so much in recognizing what's actually stressing you out, what can you do about it, and it allows you to be proactive instead of reactive. So instead of you constantly like freaking out about things, you can actually be proactive and be like, okay, I'm starting to feel a little bit of stress here. Maybe I can make some tweaks and changes, or maybe I can delegate more, or maybe I can take some more time to rest, or make sure that I fill my week up with more self-care activities, that kind of thing. I think that that makes such a huge difference personally, and every single thing that I'm going to share on here, they are evidence-backed. They are scientifically proven. I am not one to just like share random shit. I want to make sure that the things that I'm sharing in this podcast are actually going to bring you value. So every single thing that I go through on this list is going to support you in many ways. Now, something that's really special about journaling particularly is that it's going to help you process what you're going through. So years and years ago, when we didn't have technology, when we didn't have this camera that I'm speaking to right now, when we didn't have this phone that you're listening to this on, when we did not have these things, we were actually able to process the situations and events that we were experiencing. So let's say you're at a grocery store and someone says something to you that like totally weirds you out, or I don't know, like they say something rude or whatever. When that event happens, after we go in the car, maybe from the grocery store, we're like thinking through that. We're thinking about, oh wow, like that's crazy that they would say that or whatever. We start to like dissect kind of what's going on. We're processing what we did, what they did, all of that good stuff. But nowadays, we get in our car and we instantly scroll TikTok, or we get in our car and we instantly put on music or a podcast or an Audible, and we don't actually give our brains time to process. And this is something that I'm actually really intentional about, as intentional as I can be. I try my best to actually give myself time to process what I am experiencing. And whether that's just me completely thinking through my thoughts or it's me journaling it out, our brains need to process what is happening in our reality. And a lot of times we are just filled with so much distraction that we don't actually take a moment to dissect what we're thinking, what we're feeling, why we're feeling it, where is it coming from. Like, we don't actually take that time to process and reflect on things. So that's why journaling is so important. And I will do this, like I did this just on Saturday night. I was like, all right, Ty was going out with his friends. I wanted to just sit in bed and watch a movie. And I decided in the middle of my movie, I paused my movie and I was like, all right, I'm just gonna take a moment to just journal really quick and just write through how I'm feeling, what I'm experiencing, how this past week was. And after I did it, I felt so much better just because I'm connected with myself. I feel better because I am just there for me, and I'm thinking through all of the things that I did and everything that I'm grateful for and what's going right, and maybe what are the things that I'm struggling with, what's challenging me right now. I'm thinking through all these different aspects of my life, and it really supports me in feeling a lot more clear-minded, not overwhelmed, not stressed out, and not frustrated with what's going on in my current reality. This is why a lot of times whenever people are getting into bed at the end of the night, their mind starts racing with thoughts, memories, events, situations, all of the things. Our brain starts turning on a ton because it is finally the only time of the day that it has got to finally process what we've been thinking about or what's been ruminating in the back of our head. So that's why people will stay up like super duper late and they won't be able to get to sleep, and they feel like they just have this problem where they're not able to put their mind to rest. It's because we're not giving ourselves enough time to rest our mind in the daytime. Like, we are also able and supposed to have time to restore and recharge throughout the day. And I will say that's why I absolutely love my Aura ring. So I bought this Aura ring and I bought it in December of 2024. So I've had it now for the last 10 months or so. And what I really love about this ring is it actually tracks my stress levels. And I got this ring specifically because I remember I'd go to the doctors, or I'd go to my esthetician, or I'd go to my holistic nutritionist, and she'd ask me, are you stressed about anything recently? Like, is that why your skin's breaking out? Or is that why you feel tired lately? She'd ask me all these different questions, and I'd always say no. Like, I don't feel like I'm stressed. I do a ton of self-care. I don't feel like I'm that stressed. And then when I got this ring and I actually saw the moments in my day that I was stressed, it literally tracks the stress levels on a graph. And then it will also track when you are going into that recharge, like restore mode, and where you're actually taking time to like replenish all of the energy that you're outputting. And I've really, really loved this ring for a number of reasons. It also tracks all of my sleep as well, but it has made such a huge impact on the way that I take care of myself, because I'm making that time to actually take for myself and to recharge and to restore myself. So I definitely also recommend this. That's a random bonus in here. But that also leads me to another point just around sleep in general. Making sure to prioritize that time before you go to sleep to actually think through and process things, and not be watching something straight up until you're going to sleep, or not getting on social media up until the moment that you close your eyes. If you're scrolling on TikTok before you go to sleep, like, stop doing that. Those little things can make such a huge impact on our stress levels, and it actually does a lot more harm than good. Now, number 3 is meditation or breath work. So meditation and breath work, those are things that I really wanted to prioritize. I prioritized meditation in 2023 and then breath work in 2024. And then this year I've branched out into herbalism and yoga and all other kinds of different like things that I can do to support myself. I haven't yet prioritized herbs yet, but I know that that will be my intention next year if it's not this year. But what I've noticed with meditation and breath work is that not only is it proven to reduce your stress levels, but it also can support you in so many other ways of actually getting your body into that parasympathetic state where your body feels safe and it feels calm and it feels peaceful, and it's actually replenishing, restoring, recharging your cells. Your nervous system feels safe and it knows that it can relax and it's not in that fight or flight mode. And that fight or flight mode is triggered from stress. So meditation and breath work is going to support you so much. And if you need meditation or breath work videos, please send me a message. I got you. I have so many. And I also, in Tranquil Minds, I have an entire document for all of the girls in there of these kinds of resources for meditations specific to whatever they are going through or what they are wanting to experience. So I have meditations and breathwork sessions. I have a plethora of resources for all of the women who are in that community so that they always have something to go to, whether they're feeling stressed, whether they're wanting to meditate and manifest things, whether they're wanting to get into that flow of abundance, whatever it is that they are wanting, they have that resource to go to and be like, all right, here's a menu for the day. I'm going to pick and choose exactly what I want. And they're able to recharge their energy so quickly and so conveniently. Even if you only have 10 minutes a day, there are some days where that's all I have. Honestly, like, I'm a mom. I don't have plenty of hours to sit aside for meditation. I wish that I did, but that's just not the case. I've got 10 minutes, 30 minutes maximum that I can turn on a quick meditation and just center myself. And what I love about meditation is it allows you to actually disconnect from your thoughts and watch your thoughts pass through your head without judgment and without reaction. So with meditation and breath work, what's going to happen is you're going to actually be a lot less reactive to stressors, to those triggers that would typically light you up and get you super frustrated. You're not going to feel that way anymore. You're actually going to be a lot more calm, and instead you're going to respond in a way that is good for your future. This is like a perfect example that I have is one of my sisters. Just like this past weekend, we were at dinner with my family and she caught an attitude with me about something that I had said, and I did not respond in the way that she came at me whatsoever. Like, I diffused the situation so easily, and the old me used to pop the fuck off if my siblings were saying something to me that I didn't like. Oh, I was coming for them. So for me to sit there and just be super calm, super collected, and just respond with like a normal tone of voice, just like I'm speaking to you guys right now, I was so proud of myself. And I really recognized how much these little tiny tasks, these 10 minutes of breath work or 15 minutes of a meditation, actually puts me in a Zen state and really truly supports me. So starting to prioritize these things, it's only going to allow you to feel not only less stress, it's going to take away the inflammation in your brain and in your body. It's going to support you with overwhelm. So if you're somebody who gets very overwhelmed easily, that will actually support you in slowing things down. And again, not being as reactive so that you're not getting into that overwhelmed state. How I utilize this personally is just in the morning, I'll just ask myself, like, what do I feel like I need today? And either that's going to be breath work, that's going to be a meditation, sometimes it's a hypnosis, other times it's just affirmations, or it's journaling, or it's reading, whatever. But typically on a daily basis, I will usually alter between meditation and breath work. Number 4 is playing, existing, just simply being, okay? I know that so much of our life revolves around work and constantly doing things and staying busy, but what I will say is that the more that I have incorporated playing into my life, the more that I have been able to just simply indulge in random activities like coloring or running outside and kicking a soccer ball with Aria, or just laying on the grass and looking up at the clouds, or just walking outside and seeing the birds playing in the bushes. Like, the smallest little things, I am simply existing and watching life as it happens. And I truly cannot say how supportive that can be with reducing stress. If I have a call that I get on that's really, really stressful, or I have some situation with work, I immediately will take myself outside and just do a little reset and just simply exist. Simply look up at the stars, look up at the sky, go on my balcony, like take time to sit outside, do whatever that I can just to get into the place where I can bring those stress levels down. And it really helps a ton, especially if you have like a kid. I think that it makes it even more accessible to get into that state because kids are always playing. But if you don't, go ahead and find yourself a really cool coloring book that you like, grab yourself some really awesome markers, and just take the time to do that, or take the time to just draw yourself a nice bath. If you don't want to go spend money on a coloring book, like go take time to take a bath. There's so many different things that you can be doing just to support yourself, to slow down and simply exist. Number 5 is grounding. Grounding is something that I've prioritized the last couple months, I'd say, very intentionally. And I actually started doing this because I had a couple dreams that grounding is something that I need to be doing more. And it was so interesting. I had dreams about like having conversations with friends that I haven't had in a long time, about them telling me about grounding. And it was just so interesting. So I was like, all right, I need to clearly start prioritizing this if it keeps coming up in my dreams. So I started to just go to parks more frequently and take off my shoes, go walk in the grass, and actually feel the connection to the earth beneath me. And I know this sounds so hippie, so woo-woo, but once you do it, I really think that you're gonna understand. If you do it with intention, you will actually feel yourself feeling more grounded, feeling more stable, feeling more in tune, in connection with the earth. And I think that that's so undervalued. Plus, it is completely proven that it's going to help with reducing stress. So what happens here is when you are grounding, you're actually redirecting your attention to physical sensations instead of what is going on in your brain. So instead of going in spirals in your mind, you can instead connect with the senses, connecting with your feet touching the ground or with your hands. Even sometimes like I'll be in the kitchen cooking and I will be intentionally like feeling my food that I'm washing off in the sink and just being like, okay, I'm here, I'm present. I will take some deep breaths and I'll like specifically feel the sweet potato that I'm washing off, or I will, as I'm filling up my water, I've been using the time that I fill up my water to actually take deep breaths and ground me in that moment in time. So I take random pauses throughout my entire day to get grounded. And specifically when I'm outside, that's a lot of the time where I'm actually conversating with the universe, with God, with divine, with source, whatever that you want to call it, whatever that you personally believe in. I will sit there and actually ask for support with whatever it is that I need support with. And I will share what I'm also willing to give in exchange for that. So usually for me, my biggest intention is I just want to help people. So I always say like, universe, please support me in finding the people who truly need to hear what I have to say. And I am willing to help them in the best way that I possibly can. And I'll go through all these different things that I will do. And it's just it's my way of getting in connection with the divine. And I think that it really supports me a ton. Even in moments where I'm having a lot of stress or I'm having a lot of anxiety, if I go outside and I just like put my hands on the floor, I will literally ask the universe, like, please take away any extra energy that no longer needs to be with me. I let go of anything that's no longer serving me. And I just say these things out loud all the time. I have so many things that I do on a daily basis that support me, and they're a little woo-woo and they're a little magical and majestic. But if you want to hear more about those, please send me a message on Instagram, because I am so down to do a podcast about more of the things that maybe aren't scientifically proven, but I know have provided me a lot of support. And number 6, getting rid of distractions. If you want to reduce your anxiety, your depression, your stress, your frustration, your overwhelm, get rid of the distractions. Personally, the way that I like to do that is removing myself from social media every single weekend. Getting rid of social media every single weekend has been something I have done since September of 2023. And I am not kidding you. This device, social media in general, can just lead you to constantly compare yourself, to feel like you're not doing good enough, to feel like you're not working hard enough, to feel like you're not far enough along. You get in your head, you're comparing yourself to other people's lives. You're comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 30. You have this fear of missing out. Like, you're getting in your head, you're questioning things, you're swiping on social media and seeing like really toxic political things. Like, there is so much happening right now in the world that if that's the last thing that you're seeing before you go to sleep, or if it's the first thing that you're seeing in the morning, that is actually doing you so much more harm than good. And so something for me personally, like I just now did this, I just now finished the series that I was watching Gilmore Girls on Netflix, and I'm actually removing Netflix from my phone, I'm removing Hulu from my phone, and I'm simply listening to either YouTube podcasts that are really educational, podcasts just in general, or nothing, and just removing all distractions. So remove the distractions in your life that you know are kind of keeping you maybe complacent, whether that's limiting your time on social media with the screen time thing, or it's taking designated days off. Personally, that's been the easiest thing for me, is just taking designated days off. And then I do also limit myself throughout the week of how long I'm on social media. Just doing those little things can actually support you so much more than you can even realize. So all 6 of these, they are going to help you so much, and I really hope that you will start implementing one or a few of these, or maybe even all of them if you're an overachiever like me. These are all things that I personally do, and it truly makes such a huge difference in my life. So if you have any questions about anything that I shared, please send me a message. I'm sorry about the audio one more time, and I will see you guys next Monday. Bye!